Graduating high school is one of the most important things you can do from an economic perspective. It's one of the biggest life decisions you'll make. In this first episode of Econ 101.13, I explain what opportunity cost is and why not graduating high school is an economic death sentence. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Econ 101.13, the podcast where I explain economic concepts in a practical and relatable manner. I'm an economics high school teacher, and this podcast is real talk about money, choices, and decision making, how the world revolves around economics. Now, economics is the study of choices and decision making, understanding that every day you make decisions that are going to impact your life. And with every decision, there are costs. For example, that free coffee that the restaurant offered, it's probably not free because you had to expend energy, your time, and there are plenty of other things that you could have done instead of get that free coffee. Each decision has trade-offs and costs, but more specifically, opportunity costs. Whenever you make a decision, you have many alternatives, but opportunity cost is the specific thing that you give up, the next best alternative of a given decision. When you choose one thing, you're giving up something else. It's not just about price tags, it's about trade offs. So let's say you go to the mall and you got like $20. You can either go see a movie with friends or go buy lunch at the food court and save the rest. If you go to the movie, your opportunity cost is the lunch and the money that you could have saved. If you eat lunch and save the rest, you miss out on the movie. That's opportunity cost of that decision. Now think about this on a daily schedule. If each decision has an opportunity cost, you can see how life can be pretty complicated. Some decisions don't really have a large opportunity cost, but one of the most important things that you can do is graduate high school. A couple of months ago, a bunch of my high school students were thinking about choosing not just graduating high school, but what university to go to. And that revolves around opportunity cost because let's say, for example, you're narrowing your choices down between two colleges and each college has certain benefits but also significant costs as well, not just monetary costs but also time costs as well. For instance, let's use an example here. We have two students over here. We have Jamie and Taylor. Jamie decides to go to university. Tuition costs 8,000 per year, 4 years to finish. That's 32,000 in tuition, not counting textbooks, rent, or lost income. For instance, you could just simply graduate high school and just not just go to university and just work right away. You have Taylor. Taylor skips school and starts working full time right away. Not graduating high school, simply just going to the local grocery store and bags groceries full time. Taylor earns about 35,000 per year. At first glance, Taylor is way ahead. They are making 35,000 per year. No debt, real income. Maybe Taylor lives at home as well. Whereas Jamie will have to incur significant costs studying, working part time, racking up loans. But fast forward 10 years, Taylor hasn't really had much career progression. Taylor might have switched jobs, but really, salary hasn't changed much. Maybe 42,000 per year. No degree, because there's a ceiling when it comes to those who haven't graduated high school. Let's look at Jamie. Jamie graduated with a bachelor's degree, lands a really good paying job, maybe 60, 70,000 per year, and the investment in the education was well worth it. Now, for the rest of the years, Jamie has significantly higher earnings potential rather than Taylor. Taylor is simply stuck at that career level. By age 30, Jamie has caught up and then some. By age 40, Jamie's lifetime earnings have surpassed Taylor's by tens of thousands of dollars, and Jamie, by retirement, might have earned well over $1 million dollars over Taylor. And that's not a made up number. In Canada and in the US, multiple studies show that university graduates earn on average $1.2 million more dollars over their lifetime than high school graduates. That difference is the opportunity cost of not getting a college degree and also the opportunity cost of not graduating high school. Because when you don't graduate high school, you're basically stuck to a minimum wage job, maybe slightly above minimum wage. The stats show that not graduating high school is where economic reality hits pretty hard. The job market is not friendly to those without the necessary education and qualifications. According to Stats Canada and the US Census Bureau, high school dropouts earn over $10,000 less per year than graduates, and they face a much higher unemployment rate, often double the rate of high school grads. And are often more likely to work jobs of no benefits, simply minimum wage, unstable hours, or physical labor that doesn't scale with age. Of course, there's the random exception where you have somebody that goes viral on TikTok or Instagram. And what about Steve Jobs, YouTubers? Of course, there are exceptions, but those are the 0.01%. They make headlines because they are rare. For every influencer making six figures, there are thousands who work two part time jobs, edit videos at 2 a.m., or even chase unstable ad revenue. And when the algorithm shifts, so does their income. And while school isn't the only path to success, doing nothing, not learning, not training, not building skills always leads to fewer choices and lower income. So if you actually look at the numbers, graduating high school is not only important, but is necessary to thrive in today's economy. And graduating university seems to be a necessary prerequisite to achieving a job with a good income. Oftentimes, you'll see like a TikTok or a YouTube video saying school isn't worth it, college isn't worth it, it's a waste of time, books, energy, and money. But if you look at the numbers, graduating with a bachelor's degree can significantly increase your earnings potential. Here's something that most people don't even think about as well. Even free choices have opportunity cost. So maybe instead of going to school, you watched Netflix all weekend, you played video games, and you gave up time to rest, learn, or build something. You basically wasted your summer because you decided to enjoy your time. Even though it has positive benefits and you might have enjoyed playing games, there's significant opportunity costs, especially for those in their late teens and early 20s, when you can be building something, investing, and using your time productively. Scrolling on TikTok for 2 to 3 hours? Perhaps you could have gone to Duolingo and learned a different language. This is economics applied to real life. Every yes is also a no to something else, and that no has value, whether it's money, time, health, or opportunity. I do have to say though, not every degree is a golden ticket. $100,000 degree in something you don't care about with no job plan, or direction or vision can leave you worse off. I often see on social media or in the news people are taking out giant loans and they're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars in a career with no marketability, no demand, and oversupply. Sometimes some of the degrees in university, there's so many graduates, like tens of twenties of thousands of graduates in the general studies with no marketability. And that often leads to very poor outcomes because the benefits are significantly outweighed by the costs, especially if you go to a different state or if you go abroad to learn and you all of a sudden rack up significant costs, you're going to end up in a situation that you're going to have trouble paying off those loans. But education in something marketable, whether it's tech, trades, business, or even healthcare, gives you a massive advantage. And finishing high school, that's not optional. It's the bare minimum in today's economy. Because what you're choosing isn't school versus freedom. You're choosing between a short term gain versus long term income, fast cash now versus financial stability later, and a job versus a career. And that's what opportunity cost is about. Skipping school costs you future income. Finishing school costs you time and effort now, but pays off later. And doing nothing costs you everything because you're giving up choices and you're limiting your alternatives. Economics isn't about numbers, it's about choices. And your future is shaped by the ones you make today. In today's economy, Job security is very important. College graduates tend to be more resilient during economic downturns. They can open doors to higher paying positions and faster career progression, and they can provide valuable knowledge, skills, and a broader understanding of the world, which can be beneficial in both personal and professional life. If you're interested in this topic, I watched a movie called Freakonomics, and in this study, they actually tried to bribe students to do better in school. They looked at students with D's and E's and said, okay, if I gave a cash incentive, would that motivate students to improve their grades and achievement in school? In some cases, they were motivated by the cash. They wanted to work hard in school, they wanted to study, and actually, some did improve. But for others, there are some students who are just simply not motivated by school. They want to have fun, they want to go skateboarding, they want to play video games, and external motivators like money simply didn't work. And as they were slowly beginning to drop out, the grades weren't catching up, they started failing all the courses. All of a sudden, the opportunities started to diminish and were very limited. Kevin, the person in the study, said that he might even join the army or the navy. So you actually have very limited opportunities if you don't finish high school. This is the classic case of opportunity cost. For Kevin, the opportunity cost of not trying harder in school, even with money on the table, includes the $50 that he could have earned through the program and also the longer term benefits of academic success, better grades, better opportunities, even college, and better jobs. On the flip side, Kevin chose things that he likes, spending time with friends, relaxing, or not doing homework, and these were more immediately appealing, even though the long term value is not very significant. And that's what a lot of teenagers fail to see nowadays. Kevin gave up money and future long term success in exchange for short term comfort and leisure. When you sacrifice a long term gain for short term satisfaction, this is a classic example of opportunity cost. Even though there's a high cost to college, and there's a little bit of depth that you might have to take if your marketability of your job degree is good, if you work hard to promote yourself after graduation, and if you invest your time productively and efficiently. Stats show that you'll end up with a good paying career which will significantly outweigh the costs. So investing in your education seems to always be worth it. But of course, getting a degree does not guarantee a good job. And that sums up today's episode of Econ 101.13, where we break down the economics behind everyday life. If this episode made you think differently about school, money, or your future, be sure to subscribe for more podcast episodes and like and share if you found this podcast episode to be interesting. I'm talking about plenty of economic concepts: elasticity, supply and demand, and trade. Lots more to discuss in terms of practicality, relevance, and how economics impacts us every day. Thank you for watching.